300 people came to my funeral. My husband cried just enough to look convincing. Then he walked in, holding hands with his mistress. The church went silent. But the real shock, I wasn't in the casket. And in 7 days, he'd learn I knew everything. For 15 years, I was invisible, not literally, but in every way that mattered. My name is Mavis Green. I packed lunches, volunteered at school events, smiled politely at church. I was the kind of woman people forgot about before the conversation ended. My husband, Michael, liked it that way. He called me simple at dinner parties, told his golf buddies I didn't understand money, joked that I'd be lost without him. Everyone laughed, including me, because while they were laughing, I was learning. Every night after Michael fell asleep, I opened my laptop. I studied investing, read about LLC structures, watched tutorials on real estate. I started small, a side business here, a modest investment there. Nothing flashy, nothing Michael would notice. Within 5 years, I'd quietly built a portfolio worth over $1 million. He never asked, never suspected, because to him, I was just Mavis, simple, predictable, harmless. That was my first mistake, thinking he'd never notice me, because he noticed someone else. Her name was Lauren, younger, confident, everything I supposedly wasn't. I found out about the affair on a Tuesday, not because Michael slipped up, not because someone told me, but because I saw the charge, $847 at a jewelry store I'd never been to. Didn't confront him, didn't make a scene. I simply started watching his phone, his calendar, his credit card statements. The affair had been going on for 8 months. Dinners at expensive restaurants, weekend work trips, hotels with room service charges for 2. I documented everything, screenshots, receipts, dates, and times. I wasn't angry yet. I was just preparing. For what? I didn't know, until I found the insurance policy. $3 million. That's how much my life was worth. At least according to the life insurance policy Michael took out 6 weeks after I discovered the affair. I found the paperwork in his office, hidden in a folder labeled Taxes 2019. Beneficiary, Michael Green, amount $3 million. My hands went cold. People don't randomly take out policies that large, not without a reason. I told myself I was paranoid, that it was probably nothing. Then I noticed something else. Michael had started being nice, unusually nice. He suggested I take up jogging, said the fresh air would be good for me. He insisted I drive his car instead of mine, said mine was making a weird noise. He encouraged me to take long drives alone, clear my head. Every suggestion felt wrong, like pieces of a puzzle I didn't want to solve, but I couldn't ignore the pattern. So I did something he never expected. I asked my brother for help. My brother, David, is a trauma surgeon, methodical, analytical, the kind of person who sees patterns others miss. When I told him about the policy, he didn't laugh it off. He said, "Let me look into something." 3 days later, he called me. His voice was quiet. "Mavis, I need you to stay calm." My stomach dropped. "There's a man, works at a mechanic shop, friend of a friend." "What about him?" "Michael paid him $15,000. The room tilted. "For what?" David paused. "To tamper with your brakes." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My husband, the man I'd cooked breakfast for that morning, had hired someone to kill me. "But here's the thing," David continued. "The guy didn't do it." "What?" "He took the money, but he came to me instead." I sat down. "Why?" "Because he knew we were family, and he's not a killer." That night, David and I made a plan that would let Michael think he'd won. 2 weeks later, I died. Not really, but convincingly enough. David staged a car accident. Late at night, remote road. No witnesses except the ones we chose. The car went off an embankment. Fire. Damage severe enough that a body would be unrecognizable. David handled the paperwork, wrote the death certificate himself, listed cause of death as blunt force trauma. The authorities never questioned it. Why would they? A respected surgeon confirming a tragic accident. Michael received the news at 2 a.m. He cried. Not long, not loud, just enough. The funeral was scheduled for the following Saturday. And I disappeared. No hospital, no morgue, no trail. I stayed in a cabin 3 hours away, watching everything unfold through my brother's updates, watching Michael plan my funeral, watching him grieve just enough to seem human, watching him call Lauren, and then, on the day of the funeral, I watched him do something I'll never forget. 300 people came. The church was packed. Neighbors, church members, parents from my children's old school. The casket sat at the front, closed, of course, because there was nobody in there. The pastor was mid-eulogy when it happened. The church doors opened. Michael walked in, late, but not alone. He was holding Lauren's hand. The room went silent, not the respectful kind of silence, the shocked kind. Lauren wore black, not mourning black, statement black. Her head was high. Her hand rested possessively on his arm. People gasped. Others looked away. But Michael? He walked straight to the front row, sat down, right beside my casket, and smiled. Not at anyone, just smiled. That's when I knew. He wasn't here to mourn. He was here to collect. 7 days later, attorney's office, downtown. Michael sat across from my estate lawyer. Lauren sat beside him, legs crossed, perfectly composed. They expected money. They expected freedom. The lawyer cleared his throat. Before we proceed, Mrs. Green left specific instructions for you to see a video. He pulled out a laptop, pressed play. The screen flickered, and then I appeared, alive. Michael's face went white. Lauren's hand flew to her mouth. I didn't smile. I just looked into the camera and spoke. If you're watching this, Michael, it means you think I'm dead. Silence. It means you collected on the insurance policy. His breathing quickened. It means you believed you got away with it. I leaned forward. But here's what you didn't know. I listed every affair, every hotel, every lie. Then I revealed the insurance policy, the amount, the timing. And then, I said calmly, there's the $15,000 you paid to have my brakes tampered with. Michael stood up. The man you hired, I continued, he's my brother's friend, and he told us everything. Lauren was already backing toward the door. The accident was staged, Michael. My brother helped me disappear. I paused. You thought I was weak. You thought I was stupid. My voice didn't waver. But the truth is, I was always 3 steps ahead. The lawyer closed the laptop. Mrs. Green has filed charges. The police are outside. Michael turned to run, but 2 officers were already in the doorway. Michael lost everything. The insurance company sued. The district attorney pressed charges. Attempted murder, fraud, conspiracy. He was convicted within 6 months. Lauren vanished the day the video played, changed her number, left the state. No one heard from her again. And me? I walked out of that courthouse into the sunlight, alive, free, wealthier than Michael ever knew. I didn't go back to being simple Mavis, because I never was. I was just waiting for the right moment to stop pretending. A year later, I sat in my new home, smaller than the one I'd shared with Michael, but entirely mine. No secrets, no lies, no one underestimates me. People ask if I regret it, the deception, the risk. I don't. Because the woman Michael tried to bury? She was never real. She was a role I played. And when he tried to kill me, I simply stopped performing. They buried an empty casket that day. But what they really buried was the lie that I was ever powerless. Michael thought he could erase me. Instead, he erased himself. And I became the woman I was always meant to be. Alive, awake, and finally free. They buried an empty casket, but what they really buried was the lie that I was powerless. I didn't come back for revenge. I came back for the truth. Because some women don't rise from the grave. They stand up in the courtroom. This is a story about betrayal, strategy, and the moment a woman stops being simple and starts being 3 steps ahead. If you enjoy powerful family drama, betrayal stories, and shocking twists, subscribe to My Story Vault for more unforgettable stories.